Okay. So just so you know, this is your camera. So if you want to make a statement and be like, you could do that. And this is the middle camera. And this is fine.
Why would I be looking at that camera and not you?
But I'm saying if you want to go in there and be like, you want to emphasize
I
something.
know, I'm just joking.
But you gonna look at me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna do my introduction. Please do not laugh.
Kourtlynn, I need you to get it going.
Okay.
So
All
I
right.
can get to work.
Hey, wait. Let me chill. Hey, wait. Let me handle that.
Welcome back to the Laylo podcast. Today is a very special episode because I'm joined by my bestest friend in the entire world and my favorite person and the person that gave me life, my mommy. And I'm really excited to have my mom today. And I wanted to do this episode because I am learning a lot about the relationship that we have with our parents and understanding that my relationship with my mom is pretty rare. As I get older, I realize that a lot of people are not super connected with their family, with their parents. And I'm just blessed to have my mom be my best friend. She's the wisest person I know, the coolest person I know. And we fight like sisters sometimes, but she always has my back. And it's just, I wouldn't ask for a better mom. And I want you guys to be able to get some wisdom from her today. So we finna get the tea. We finna chat it up. Thank you, Mom.
Hi, daughter.
How you feeling today? A little annoyed with me?
Happy to have you home. I'm so happy to have you home. But
Sick of me?
No, I'm not sick of you at all. I'm just happy to have you here
Yeah.
and happy to be able to talk with you.
Thank you. Well, I really want, I think having you on here will allow my guests to also get to know a little bit more about me because you're a big reason why I decided to do this. And you've been my support, my biggest cheerleader. Every day that I cry about this dang podcast, you're like, I don't want to hear it. You got to keep going. And you've been that my entire life. And something that I try to explain to people is how you held us to a certain standard, but also allowed us to be free and find ourselves through. You're not that parent that's like, this is who my kid has to be, and I want to make sure you're like that. You were always very liberal in your thinking, but demanded respect and responsibility. And I don't know if that's the Libra in you or where that comes from, but I'm curious, like, what love or what guidance did you receive in life to make you be the parent that you are?
Well, as a kid, I grew up, of course, in a single parent home, 4 siblings, and my mother was just so supportive. Nana was just, if you think you can do it, if you think you want to do it, go try it. And because of that, coming from small town America and, you know, not having to think outside of where we lived, I just wanted to make sure that when I became a parent, I was as supportive and as make sure that I could provide as much support as you guys needed to be who you are supposed to be, not who I wanted you to be. And that was one of the things growing up my mother knew, and she always said that every child has their own testimony. Every child has, because God gave you to me for me to guide, not to control. So it was just important that as a parent, I gave you guys space to really be calm and be who you need to be.
I love that you say you had to give us space, but there are moments sometimes where I feel like I'm not living up to your expectations. And do you feel like you have expectations on us?
I do. But those expectations are not what you think they are and what you probably put on yourself. My expectations has, and I've told you guys all the time, is just always to be kind, be serve, be respectful, but more than anything, treat yourself the way you treat other people. Be as kind to yourself as you can other people. And those expectations are to not give up on yourself. Do the best that you absolutely can. Be a solution based person, not a complainer. You are not a victim. Those are the only expectations that I would say that I really have. It's never been, I won't say that I did not want you guys to be these collegiate kind of kids or whatever, but once I realized that's not who you are, I had to shift in my mind, how do I support them in this creative, artistic mind and desires I knew that you guys had. So those expectations are simply just to be the very best person that you can be with this less impact, negative impact in your life.
You always say, let's find the easiest and best way to do whatever it is that you want to
Right.
do. And something that like I tell people all the time, okay, let's break down like this. I was a difficult teenager to parent. I kind of put you through the ringer. I was bad. I was bad. I ain't gonna lie. And it would be so weird because when I would get in trouble, it wasn't trouble like I'm gonna beat you up or I'm gonna take your phone or I'm gonna cuss you out. It was more, I was afraid of the talk that you were gonna have with me. You really communicated with us as a parent and as kids. It was never, I was afraid of your disappointment, but not afraid of making mistakes, of your wrath.
Yes,
Yeah. Like I knew I could fail safely in our home. And I wonder where you learned, because a lot of kids or people, especially my age, they feel like they don't know how to communicate with their parents. And communication is a really, really big thing for you. And where did you learn how to communicate, but also communicate on a level with children as opposed to talking with them instead of talking at them?
Home.
Mm.
In our house, Nana didn't play. I can count the spankings, the whippings, or whatever that I got. But the worst discipline, the best and worst discipline was when we had that conversation. She would make us all sit and we would have to talk about why this happened, why you did this. We had to take responsibility, it could be accountable for whatever it was we did. And that's where I learned it from. And it was the most effective thing because just to be a parent that beats on a kid, and we'll talk about that one.
Because I did get it.
That was not my first, my first reaction to anything you guys did. Not that, oh, I'm gonna beat your butt or whatever. It was, I wanted to be that parent, first of all, that I gave you a look and you knew what the look meant.
She'd be like,
You knew what that meant.
lay low.
Exactly. I was not going to be constantly telling you, I told you one time, I'm going to tell you again. That was not me. But the older you guys became, it was just important that I wanted you to know that you had a safe space at home, first of all, and with me, secondly. And being able to allow you space to talk about your feelings and how things felt, or even you guys get on me.
We do. We do. And it's what's funny is well is it well as you communicate or as good as you communicate?
Either one.
Okay. Well, that sometimes when Josh and I will tell you about yourself, one thing about it, you're gonna walk away and get real quiet.
Yes, because the truth hurts. I don't care who it is. As parents, we have to be aware that our children, they see us in a certain way too. And it's not just that, oh, I'm your mama and you're supposed to do what I say do no matter what. I have to be respectful of my children, of you guys's, of your feelings, of your emotions, how things impact you. And so for me, I process things. And so when I'm stung, I have to sit with it and I have to get quiet and kind of absorb what it is that is being said. And so communication is just everything in my life because it's the one thing that we're never not always doing. Silence speaks volumes. Body language speaks. And so I'm intentional about communicating. I'm intentional about what I say. If I say it, I mean it. If I mean it, I'm going to say it.
You do not.
And so that's why, as a parent, I wanted to make sure that you guys had a great space for dialogue. Didn't always feel good.
Because it was very much like, I try to I have a lot of people in my life that received a lot of affection, like physical affection from their parents.
Sorry.
But no, you do. I don't like to be hugged. Like, but that's just because we did not.
Because I didn't hug you.
You did hug me, but we were not gonna like cuddle. Like, if I got in the bed with my mom to like watch TV, separate. But sometimes you might rub my head a little bit, but you'd be like, all right. But I didn't feel like I lacked any love from. I feel like knowing people that had a lot of physical affection from their parents, but mentally or emotionally they are really struggling to connect. And I wonder how you know what to give your children, or not even just children, but people in general, like that inner knowing of like, this is what people need. Like, I feel like you have a great way of not dissecting, but what do you call it when it's like a feeling that you intuitively understanding the type of love to give to other people, whether it's platonic relationships, romantic relationships. And to top that off, I don't think it was always given to you, that intuitive understanding. So I wonder, has that affected how you love us and love others, or will you continue to do that regardless of the love that you receive? I feel like that was a lot of questions in one.
It was.
I'm sorry.
But I'll just say this. I'm just intentional about love. I love people. I love humanity. I want to always make people feel better after having been in my presence, around me, with me, talking to me, clients in the salon. It's never a gossip session in my salon space. I want people to feel better. So me giving love, that's just who I am. But I'm not overly affectionate, because love to me is not touchy-feely, all that stuff. Yeah, that's how it's displayed in some situations. But I want you to feel my love. I want you to know my love. And in knowing that, you know that I'm going to be there. I am, you can count on me to tell you the truth, my truth, like it or not. But it's just, I'm just intentional that way, and God wired me that way. I like to help people, and I'm a resource for people. And so in doing that, you have to love. I feel like I can't do that if I don't really have a genuine love and concern for people and their well-being.
I ask you that because, just to give the listeners some background, you're from Monticello, Arkansas.
Casella, Southeast Arkansas.
Such a small town. I think, do you know, this is a fact, the population has not grown since 1964, 62, 64. Anyway, and the average household median is $22,749. And you not only grew up in a small town, but in a really religious home. Would you call it religious?
I wouldn't say religious as much as it was more spiritual. Now, we religiously went to church.
How many days a week?
7.
How many times a day?
At some point now, it wasn't that bad. But there was something going on at church every day of the week. Sunday, we went to Sunday school, and then we went back in the evening for young people, willing workers, called YPWW, shout out Kojic.
Church of God in Christ.
Right. We had the Sunshine Band on Wednesday nights. There was choir practice Thursday, something all the time. And you might have a 3:00 service in between, you know. So we religiously went to church, but in our home, she taught us to be spiritual beyond going to church, because church is where we go to refuel, to fellowship. But our relationship is with God. And she wanted us to make sure that we had that grounding in Christ beyond going to church. Because I'm going to tell you, A lot of people go to church, but God ain't nowhere in this. The real, God, the love of Christ, the love of God is not really there. But we show up at church so that because it's out of ritual, routine, or whatever. But I grew up in a very spiritual home, and I always tell people I was a church girl, but I'm a spiritual woman.
Two very different things.
Yeah.
But it's weird though, because if y'all don't know what Church of God in Christ is it Pentecostal? Okay, well, basically you grew up wearing long skirts, couldn't wear makeup, couldn't play sports.
Wasn't supposed to, but I did.
But you did. Just a really sheltered way of living that I think, granted, like Nana did a great job of
Absolutely, she did.
allowing you guys a little bit of flexibility, but.
And she became more flexible with the younger two,
Okay.
JT and me.
Okay.
Because we were something to deal with.
Yeah. And y'all were twins.
Yeah.
Twins comes a pair is like, it's hard to, yeah.
She became more flexible with us. Yeah.
But it's like, I think kind of coming from a place like a church like that and some of the experiences that you've had, and I think we might need a part two so we can really dive into that situation. But I hate the word trauma, but there's a lot of things that you saw, and instead of taking that with your kids and trying to protect them or shelter them more or hold them back from more, you really, I think it's empowered you to be more liberal and more free.
Now, mind you, I was in that space. I was Jackie's daughter, for sure. I went to church. I did all the things that were necessary, but I was an independent thinker, 100%. Inside that space, I would see things. I'm like, that don't make sense. I ain't gonna do that. I was not really rebellious, but I was very much opinionated. And there's so much greatness, good, that I took from my upbringing in church and all of that. But then there were a lot of things that I just discarded, and I knew that it would never be, I could not own it for my life, and especially not for my children. I wanted you guys to know God, to have your own relationship with Him, to really be grounded in faith, but not bound by the traditions of that religion. Because religion is just, that's not where it was for me. And so for you guys, I just wanted to make sure that no matter what life threw you, what curves came, whatever, I wanted you to be able to have that compass, that guide that you could go back to. And I raised you guys, believe it or not, as bad as you and Josh have been, the craziest things y'all have done.
My God.
I raised my children in the Word, in the Bible. I gave you scripture. We've had prayer every morning on the way to school. I made you recite the Word.
I don't remember.
Well, it's in you. You may not get
It's in me,
but it's in you.
Don't ask me what Paul chapter 12 said. Go. Song, girl, song. Let me stick with the easy one Proverbs, Dad.
Just stop. Just stop.
I know Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Stop.
Sorry.
But what is the one scripture's too early?
I'm sorry. God, I love
What
it.
is one of the scriptures
That I remember?
Yes. Growing up. Please tell me you remember one.
We do not compare ourselves amongst ourselves.
Yes. And I wanted you guys to really, really understand.
Is that 1 Corinthians?
No, we don't have to tell when. I just want to make sure that you remember it, because comparison really is a thief
of joy.
It really is.
Look at us, joyful right now.
Look.
But I remember that because it was written
on the whiteboard.
On the whiteboard in the kitchen. Can I tell the prayer that you would say every morning?
Yes.
I'm not going to start with Father God, but essentially it was, God, I thank you for protection for my kids. We do not compare ourselves amongst ourselves. We are the head and not the tail. We are above and not beneath. And then you would just say thanks.
Yeah.
And I live with that every day.
Yeah.
You really, because did you know that you were going to have kids that I think when you think about our family, I think we really, as liberal as you have been in your thinking and who you became from, coming from that background and who you are now, I think Josh and I really stretched it even further.
You think?
Yeah.
First of
Yeah.
all, I never wanted kids.
Oh.
Let's go there first.
Yeah.
I was the one of the four of us who was, I mean, emphatically, I did not want to have children. And because I always said, and I've never been a selfish person, but I'm like, how can I love anybody, anything more than I love me? And I mean, I did not want kids.
And you're not not in a narcissistic way.
Why'd you have to bring that word up?
Because
No, but
sometimes people see self-love as like, I'm not allowed to love myself that much.
Oh no, I love because at the end of the day, I mean, when all else, I'm with me. I'm not with you. I'm not with Josh. I'm not with my family, my siblings. I am with me. We have to sit with us. And so if I can't love this body, who I am,
How can you,
you
how
know
could
what I
you
mean?
love something else?
Yeah. So I'm like, I loved myself so much, and I wondered how could I share that? So I didn't really want kids, but after having kids, I'm so grateful. And Nana said to me, she said, God gave you those two because he knew that you could parent them, that you were supposed to be the guide for them. Of course, you know, your father should have been, but that's another
Well, I was going to
podcast.
bring that up
Okay.
really quickly because I wish I had something to sip because the tea finna get a little warm.
We're going to be nice to him.
But no, my dad is, it's weird personally for me coming from having two very different parents. Like on one end, my father is, he loves us, but he struggles with consistent love. He's consistently inconsistent in his love and a little bit hurtful in his love, but it's because he didn't receive it.
Abusive is the word.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's weird. I don't know, like as a parent, how do you make sure, how did you walk away from that love? Because you were married to him for 12 years. And I think it's been a struggle for you to teach me, especially, that his love is not real. It's not true. It's not about.
It's true to him, but it's not the best love for the receiver of his love.
It is not.
And I tell you guys all the time, I know he loves you. He loves you the way he knows how. And so he didn't come from what I came from, where I was told you can do anything you set your mind to. He was told, boy, you might not want to do that. Why do you think you can do that? So whereas I'm like, how can I support you to make this podcast successful? How can I support Josh to make his design business successful? He's like, well, withholding. Because I don't know if it requires more of himself to give it, but for me to, I had to be true to who I am. I wanted. Okay.
Well, because I asked that because sometimes you find that, mothers or parents aren't able to walk away from situations like that, or they don't teach their children. Sometimes they become submissive to the abusive love that their partner is controlling their family with, as opposed to you were like, oh, I'm taking my kids away from this kind of love. And my question is, one, what gave you the strength to do that? Because narcissistic forms of abuse are really hard to walk away from. But also, how do you deal with parenting someone like me who does suffer from a lot of traumatic feelings from the type of love I received from my dad?
Okay. How I walked away from it was, again, a sense of self-love. It really was. And I fully believe that children benefit more from one happy home. I mean, yeah, two happy homes, separate homes, than one unhappy situation. Because really, I can only fake the funk, so I can't really fake. And when I knew, again, I processed things. And so I knew that it was not going to be a forever thing until my physical last breath. Because again, till death do us part is not just physically dying. When
Just
shit is over, it's over.
so I'm sick of your ass.
When things are dead,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, a lot of marriages are on life support, and people are just going to live on life support. A lot of marriages are just, you're just existing. I feel like relationship, friendship, business partnership, it all should be a space of growth that we're growing inside that. So for me, it was about, you know what, I cannot die like this. Because, you know, we're all dying every day. We're not living every day. We're dying. But that's something else. So I just could not die that way. And I knew that. And honestly, when I left, it was not for divorce initially. It was just to say, okay, we need separation. We need to date again. We need to go to counseling and therapy to make all this make sense. So me leaving that was really to save the core me of who I was so that I could be a good mother to my children. Because again, we are the heart of the family, and I needed you guys to be safe. Now, parenting you, because you were daddy's girl, has been really one of the biggest challenges. Not parenting you, but helping you to, I can't provide the love that you've not, the consistent love you've not gotten from him, or the positive love, because you've gotten it, but it's not what I would desire and not what I even thought my children would get.
How do you forgive yourself for being with someone like him?
I don't. I don't. It's not. I don't have to forgive myself.
You don't?
No, because it wasn't necessarily. It wasn't. It may have been a bad choice, but without him, you guys wouldn't have been here. And so I don't. I don't feel like it's something I have to forgive myself for. It's just that I may have forgiven myself for some of the things I allowed or did, but not. It's not wrong that I had you and Josh from that marriage. And, you know, I always tell you guys, we win some, we learn some. So that wasn't a loss. And that's my mature self saying that. But I learned a lot from that. And
I only ask because sometimes kids feel like it's a responsibility for their parents to maybe not apologize. Like, I don't see, you know, like how kids will be like, well, I didn't ask to be here and my trauma is because of the decisions that you made. I don't really see it that way. But sometimes I wonder if there is like guilt for the decisions that you make as a parent or you made as a parent early on that have affected who we are, you know, growing up.
there has been some guilt, honestly. To that point, there is a little bit of guilt in things that I allowed to happen or things that may have occurred or the way I may have done something. But I've tried my very best to correct anything. Once I see that it could have been done a better way, and I try to, as hard as, and you guys have told me this, that, you know, I'm stubborn or it's hard for me to apologize to you guys or something. Sometimes it has been, and, you know.
The way you apologize, you'd be like, well, I'm going to apologize. It might be like 2 hours after the situation, you'll come back and be like, I am going to apologize, but I do want you to know I was right in this way, but I hear you. And sometimes that's all people want to know. It's like, I listen and I'm sorry. Let's move on. Yeah. Go ahead.
So yeah, it's just, it's, our children can have trauma from the choices and decisions that we make as parents. But at the same time, I just wanted you guys to know that you had a supportive parent in the environment. And I know in all my siblings, I'm the most liberal one, and they think I'm crazy. And I'm the cool aunt, or, all these things about me being, liberated and free, because there's what sense in restricting and controlling when I wanted you all to make the mistakes at home so that I could guide you through those and not, be out here at 26 just not having a clue because you had nothing to come back to or no instruction or guidance to come back to. So yeah, I've forgiven myself many times over for things that I may have allowed or things that happened, but certainly not for being married to him.
You wanted to be my twin today.
Anyway.
Can't get enough of me. Well, I have a lot of things that I want to touch on, but I was just checking the time. I think so. Obviously, I made it pretty difficult for us to connect for a while in life. I don't think we really became friends until I was like maybe 19 or 20.
Let me say this though,
Oh,
because a parent is your parent until you're an adult
that's true. Yeah.
enough to become a friend. Because children need to be children. And even to that though, I was real with you guys. I told you the truth about things. I'm not the parent that's gonna keep the secrets, the family secrets. I needed my children to know. And so our relationship has been a roller coaster. But here we are.
Remember when I tried to fight you?
Why? You will not win.
You a little scrappy, I ain't gonna lie. You got some hands. But and she wore me down, y'all. I was shook. But what was crazy too though is, like I think there's some trauma in spanking and whooping. We talked a little bit about that. But you have this demeanor about you that is so calm at all times, and even when we were throwing hands, there were no words said. And when you were done, you just walked out the room.
Now let me.
We weren't throwing hands, y'all.
Okay,
we were. I'm being.
She was getting.
It was well deserved, but again, my mom was never the type to just immediately go into, oh, I'm gonna hit you.
To get there, it was warranted.
Yeah.
And that was warranted.
You've only spanked me or whooped me 3 times my whole life.
Because you were what, 15?
Yeah.
And I needed you to know and fully understand.
Yeah. But it wasn't, again, and I walked away from that situation knowing I deserved that. And I needed that because I think probably 6 months after that, I straightened up. But it wasn't a lot of, what was understood didn't need to be explained in our house or with you. And daughters becoming friends with their mothers, I think there's always this dynamic that the son gets more of the mother's love than the daughter tends to.
I think the son, just the male-female relationship is just different from female-female relationship.
I agree. But do you think being a twin to having a brother as your twin, did that affect maybe our connection because Josh was always up under you as opposed to you and I think it took a while for our energies to align more.
You think about it, you were under your dad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you were under your dad. He was under me.
I didn't know if it was like a twin thing.
I don't necessarily think it was a twin thing as much as it's just kind of that parent-child relationship, that daddy's girls, mama's boys. That's just, that's the only thing I can think of. Yeah. But, having been a twin to that amazing man, it did shape my life a lot. Our relationship, I've never not. So our birth story. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry to hijack.
It's okay. No, please.
Our birth story is that my mom didn't know she was having twins until 3 weeks before we were born.
It's the scariest thing that could happen in my life.
We were born. Back then, apparently I was covering him in the womb, and they didn't pick up his heartbeat until then. And of course, he was a whole pound and something less at birth than me. And so I've never not known existing alone. until May 3rd, 2020. And so, having grown up with a twin brother, I think that I'm certainly not a prissy woman in any way. I'm, I'm just not. I like my SUV, blacker than black.
Mm-hmm.
I want the 22s. I want that truck.
Fofos. I'm just
You
kidding.
know,
That was lame.
but and I think I have an understanding of men because of him, a better understanding than a lot of women may because of, growing up with him. But
You forgot the question, didn't you?
I did.
It's okay. It happens. It happens all the time. I was just curious if maybe having a relationship with, let me say it like this. Parenting two kids, sometimes it feels like one child gets better love or gets away with certain things. Or you would always say, you and Josh, stop comparing my love for y'all. And I always thought, like, as a kid, you loved Josh not more than me, but better than me. And I was always like, well, maybe it's because Bob, because she had him, and she just connects with men better than she does with, even though you had sisters, being a twin to a boy is different. So I'd be like, why does Josh get away with certain stuff that I can't do?
But girl, how much have you gotten away with? I mean, like,
Not too much.
So no, I just think that you don't give a snake plant the same love that you give a bird of paradise, or the same amount of water or whatever. Y'all are different people. And for one, he was older. So no, there was not a greater amount of love. It's just that coming from your eyes as the younger sister, it may have looked and seemed that way. Quite frankly, I felt the same way about my sister. I'm like, she don't never get in trouble. She don't ever. So parents, you just parent, as a parent, you know what each child needs, and you can't parent them the exact same way. But there's no less love. The discipline type, all of it is just different for each child. That's why I knew I couldn't have more than two. There's no way I could have more than two. So when I see my mom, who parented four totally different, as much as we're like totally different personalities, you're the superwoman, because I couldn't have done that.
Do you feel like, I think it really like it makes me sad when I realize like the women in my life, or the friends that I have, that some of their biggest issues is the relationship with their mom, with their mother. And I don't know why I know why you're my best friend. I'm not really sure what got us to this point, but I call you 25 times a day. I will talk to you for 4.5 hours. I will call you in a crisis. And some days you're like, I don't got time for it. But I would not know who else to go to. I tell people all the time, like, when it's your time to leave this earth, I will be in the casket with you. Like, what are you talking about? Bury me with her, alive. I'm not leaving you. Where are you going? And it just breaks my heart that I see my friends who really struggle with it. And how do you, have the patience to foster a friendship with a daughter, especially considering what we went through? And I want to say one more thing. Also, not being a hater of your daughter, not being jealous or envious of maybe the things that you didn't get to experience, but you're guiding me through those experiences. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I made the decision to have children. I lay flat on my back or on my knees, and I conceived. I'm being serious. That is a choice. It's a choice that I made to become a parent.
Yeah.
And when you accept that choice, it's not just, the gender reveal, the belly out pictures. It's not just that. Parenting is a lifelong decision. I made a choice to have children. When we decide to have, we don't know what's coming out. We don't know what it's going to grow into. But I will say, children show you who they are early on. But because I made a decision to have kids, that's on me to say, you know what? That heart is walking, my heart is walking outside my body. I have to nurture that. I have to love and support that. I don't know. Everybody comes from something, and traumas keep, somebody's got to break the cycle of, not loving or putting off their carrying on family dysfunction and so forth. It's just real simple. It's not the easiest thing, but it's simple to just do better than what you had. Find a way to do better. It's so.
Everybody's not able to find a way, or they're not willing to. So
I would say not willing to find a way.
but what wasn't in you? I mean, you did receive love, but I think what you talk a lot about, like you all leaving a small town and moving away from that. What willingness was in you to find a way to change the life that you lived as opposed to the people that you grew up with? Like, where do people get that willingness to love their children maybe a way that they weren't loved by their parents?
It's just, you could, I don't know. I just know all of my siblings, that's what we did, because we didn't have it from my dad, but we got it from my mom, my grandmother, my uncle, and his wife. So what we did get was necessary for me to give, and even more than that. But as a parent, when you make a decision to have a child and bring it into this world, it is your responsibility to do the very best you can. Now, the best you can may mean I need to go outside myself. I may need to seek some family therapy. May need to pray, whatever that is, to help make you a better parent. And for me, it's just about being the best that I can be for myself, not for anything external, but for me, so that I can give that in my interactions with people. As a mother and daughter relationship, why don't I be jealous of my child?
A lot of people are.
And I know that I can't understand that. And that comes from, something they missed. And, I always say we can't give what we don't know or what we don't have. So whatever, I'm a researcher, I'm a reader, I like to know. So, people have to find a way to get what they don't have, get what they need to live.
It's almost like doing that Josh said it the other day, doing the same thing again and again is the definition of insanity. It's like sometimes our innate or our thing that we run to the most is doing what
Comfortable.
is comfortable. And if you know that the love that you received did not feel good, why do we just fall back to that?
It's easy.
Yeah.
It's
and
easy.
It's about doing the complete opposite, but sometimes it's trial and error and figuring out.
Life is.
Yeah.
That's life. And that is just embracing the discomfort of growth. Me leaving your dad, that was not comfortable. It was not easy. Because matter of fact, he said to me, I can see you're making a mistake. I'm like, well, it's a mistake that's going to be made. I knew it wasn't. But we have to be willing to sit with the discomfort of growth, of letting go, until that discomfort passes and we're on the other side of that. And just being a parent and a parent to a young woman, I really want you to be, fully empowered in yourself. I want you to love yourself the way you love people, because you love people so hard and so deeply. And if I can show you that, because I love me. Yes, I do. I do. I ain't gonna lie, I do. Because don't nobody else love me, I love me.
Yeah.
And I love my children. And I want to be that space, that place. I'm gonna tell you about yourself. I'm gonna call you out, but I'm gonna give you the raw truth. It's just like the other night when you called me at 2:00 whatever it was, and
I was
3
crying.
hours and 23 minutes later, yeah.
Yeah.
But I need I need you to know that if my mama don't pick up the phone, I need you to hear my voice and know, because you know what I'm gonna say.
Hmm.
I'm true to who I am, and I just want. I wish that for every young woman that they could, if it's not your maternal mom, find that mother, because their aunties, their people become your family. Find that space that you can rest in.
You constantly feed us with, I mean, she'll always say, I don't care if y'all read this, but I'm going to send it
I'm
anyway.
sending it.
And it's
It's a seed I'm
quotes.
planting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a seed.
And sometimes I find myself going back. I'm like, I remember she sent something. So I'll like scroll through and try to go back to it. And I'm finding with time, especially once you got into your 50s, you've become got a little bit more flavor to you, girl. You've been having a
I
time.
have.
And it's really nice to see you kind of step into even a more liberated way of living. Like you've always been cool. Like I don't mean to like tell on myself, but when I was, 14, you found out I was dibbling and dabbling. You don't want me to go there?
Jesus, no, I'm just saying.
Okay.
Yeah, you was dibbling and dabbling.
In some really bad weed, by the way. But you didn't I just have to reiterate this. Like there was no fear in my home. I didn't tiptoe on eggshells. Like it wasn't, there were rules and we had to live by them and you expected us to do it. Make your bed. If you see paper on the floor, pick it up. Don't walk over it. It was like you were very particular about things, but you weren't mean. And you finding out that I was doing this, you would always be like, so why do you feel like that's the best thing for you to do? And you'd be like, well, let me show you why it's not. So you were always liberal in your way of approaching us. But now I see that you're more, you want to explore life and experience new things that I've never seen you really take the time for yourself to do. And how do you balance now really stepping into your own and taking care of yourself, but also dealing with your two children who require still so much of your attention?
Well, my mom is 80. She turned 80 this year, and she still is on
So
the phone.
parenting never
It does
ends.
not, that's what I'm saying. It does not end.
Mm.
But I tell you, when I turned 50, aside from losing my twin, there was just a shift. It started at 49 that you feel it, and it's just a shift. And um, there's just a different sense of knowing who I am, and I've not really ever cared, but I really don't give a bleep.
I can say it for you.
No, I'm gonna let you not do that
No,
this time.
I'm kidding.
But no, it is just, again, embracing this life, this journey that God has allowed me to experience on, and not and doing it my way. I don't. I don't feel any need to prove anything to anybody but me. And at 53, it's even more, I'm just in a place of, I know exactly what I want or what I don't want. And I am willing to do what it takes for me to have that. And really, that's peace. And that word is overused. I know it is. But
In your peace era.
yeah.
Fucking hate that statement. I'm in my hot girl era. Girl, shut up. I salute you, but damn.
But for me, it is really about, having that baseline of peace. Even when things go wrong, when things go awry, I thank God that I have the ability to center myself and to calm myself so that I can hear Him, so that I can know what the next move is, so that I can speak life into you, speak life into Josh. Entrepreneurship is I come from a family, a lineage of that, and so for you and Josh to be the ones to embrace that fully and wholeheartedly, God knew that I was going to be the one to have to help guide you guys through that, and so.
and I don't mean to cut you off, but I want to get this. I have never seen you freak out. I think I've seen you freak out one time, twice, but that was through a tragic, situation. But we didn't, I think sometimes parents put the pressure, like for instance, my dad will say like, I sacrificed so much for you, or I'm owed this. And some parents will, make their problems their kids' problems. And I never saw you shake, even when there was a time where we weren't doing the best, like financial. I never knew that anything was going on in your
Because it
life.
wasn't your responsibility.
Yeah.
As a parent, and again, I thank God that He blessed me with the ability to, in crisis situations, I center myself. I don't know where that came from, but I'm so glad I have that ability. Um,
I said
just
that for a reason, but go ahead.
go ahead.
Well, I said that because I think being able to connect with your kids is teaching them obviously like how to navigate the world, and you being so calm but me being so chaotic, I think is like the balance. And watching, I want parents to understand that patience and grace with their kids is like really necessary. And I don't think you would be who you are today at 50. Well, let me not tell them your age. 53. And now this liberated if you didn't practice that with us, because in return, Josh and I now are giving you grace in many ways and kind of forgiving the things that you did. And now I understand like you were just a human, and you're even though you're my parent, like you weren't perfect. And if you don't give your kids grace, they sometimes will struggle to do that for you later in life. And that's why I wanted to make that point.
Well, thank you. I just know that, um, again,
Okay, girl.
no, I'm just saying again, life, this journey that we're on, it is up to us to really create what it is we want to experience. That's in friendship and relationship, business, and just in every area of life. It's our choice. It's our decision. For one, I love people. I'm going to do what I can to help make anybody. I was at work yesterday. I had a sweater on. One of the field employees said, "Oh, you should give me that sweater." I said, "I'll bring it to you tomorrow." I
You
have
giving
it
her
in
your sweater?
I am giving her my sweater. I don't own, I'm not materialistic that way. But she's going to smile when she sees that I meant what I said. You have my cause, you have mine. Yeah.
Closed mouths do not get fed.
They don't. And
Yeah.
so I'm just happy to be able to be that person that wants to put a smile on somebody's face.
But love yourself at the same time.
150%.
You're filling others' cups up because yours is already full.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I keep filling it over and over and over again. You have to do that to be able to give, because if you're going to be a fountain, it's got to be a well of that to come from.
Pour over.
Yeah.
I really wanted to do this first episode with you because I think they're going to be multiple.
Aww.
Because there are multiple conversations that I want to have, because I think, like you said, you love to read, you're a resource for people. And I think this episode was necessary because it gives a little bit of background on why I respect what you say so much, and why I just always remember like watching you get ready in the morning when I was a kid. I'd be like, man, I want to be just like her. Like I want to. Why am I about to cry? This is so ghetto.
Don't, please don't. Please don't. You're going to make me awkward. Don't. Please don't cry. Oh, it's okay. You say I'm Pat.
One thing about it, you start crying, we all like, but I just love you, Mom. Like
I
you
love
are
you
my
more than you could ever imagine. Don't you cry. Don't.
I just want you to be happy, and I am working. You have given me so much. Why do I stop it? You have literally given me like more than. Sometimes I'm like, I know she is sick of me.
I'm never sick of you. I'm sick of your shenanigans. Never sick of you. But the stuff you do. No, for real.
But no, I thank you. And I want to make sure that I work hard because I really want to be able to give back to, make sure that you can live the life that you deserve. But being able to call you my best friend is like the biggest blessing.
It's the biggest compliment too. It really, no, it's really the biggest compliment. And again, I admire my mom just as much. But at the end of the day, I want you to live your life for you. And I've given you space. I mean, you're an adult. I'm giving you space. No, I've accepted that you have a potty mouth. You go cuss. And I'm like, where did this come from? But that's my daughter.
Just a little razzle dazzle. Can't help it, goddamn. You just gotta add a
little sauce.
I cuss a little bit.
You cuss a lot.
What's your favorite cuss word? Holy fuck. Do you know that TikTok?
Kourtlynn, yes, I do know TikTok. Please.
Sorry. Okay.
Oh my God.
Abel in the Bible cuss. Just so y'all know.
Okay. I hope that's fact. Because people will go and look and see.
Let me cut that out.
Right. But no, at the end of the day, I mean, at the end of all of it, I just want you to know, always know how much I love you, how proud I am of you, and I want you to be proud of yourself. And I'm just on this journey to being the best me until I take my last breath. And you hate when I say that.
You will not be taking the last breath.
Not anytime soon.
Your last breath gonna be followed by mine.
Not anytime soon. But no, I just I'm excited for just to see all this unfold for you. And again, I have to say that this podcast didn't just come out of your ass though. It was spoken about when you were 2 years old. Somebody mentioned that oh my gosh, she's a little Oprah. That's literally what somebody said. And when you were in 8th grade, how you started the vlogging, the makeup videos and all of that, and how you allowed people to trample on that.
It's a conversation for another day.
It is a conversation for another day, but I just want to say, and I want to end it with that, just bet on yourself always. Don't let other people's fear, inhibitions, don't own them. And you run your business, let people run their mouth.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
And whoever said I'm a little Oprah, let me get Oprah money.
I know, right?
Right, it's coming.
It's coming.
I love you, Mom. Thank you for doing this.
Absolutely.
Do you want to hug me?
I'll hug you. Oh my
God. We don't do that. But awesome. Thank y'all so much. Bye.
Now I gotta get to work.